And good evening and welcome everyone to the Township of East Brunswick's council meeting. Will everyone please rise and salute the flag of our nation, and remain standing for a moment of personal reflection. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Township Clerk, please call roll and read our statement of adequate notice.
Councilmember Hall.
Here.
Councilman Wendell.
Here.
Councilwoman Winston.
Here.
Councilwoman Zambicki.
Here.
Council President McAvoy.
Here.
Also present, Administrator Joseph Criscuolo.
Here.
Township Attorney Michael Baker.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, by specifying the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda, by posting a copy on the bulletin board located in the main lobby of the East Brunswick Municipal Building, providing a copy to the Home News Tribune and Sentinel newspapers, posting a copy on the Township's website, and by filing a copy in the office of the Township Clerk, which will be entered into the minutes.
Thank you. May I have a motion for Resolution 23-276, adopting our meeting minutes from our September 28th council meeting?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Are there any clarifications regarding these minutes? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy.
Yes. And Councilwoman Zambicki, will you address the proclamation recognizing the month of October as National Disabilities Employment Awareness Month?
Thank you, Council President. I would be honored. So I'd like to present a proclamation. Whereas October 2023 marks the 78th anniversary of National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Whereas the purpose of National Disability Employment Awareness Month is to educate others about disability employment issues and celebrate the many contributions of American workers with disabilities. And whereas studies have found that Americans with disabilities are especially productive and motivated workers, but they have a harder time getting jobs, promotions, and fair pay, and are 3 times less likely than others to be employed, and often in sub-minimum wages for their work. Whereas workplaces welcoming the talents of all people, including people with disabilities, are a crucial part of our effort to build an inclusive community. And now, therefore, Brad J. Cohen, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, do hereby proclaim October 2023 as Disability Employment Awareness Month, and urge all residents to embrace the talents and skills that workers with disabilities bring and promote the right to equal opportunity for all. Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public here to accept this proclamation?
Thank you for directors. And I just want to say that thank you for the sponsoring for the kids who are basically disabled. But I just want to say that I'm really proud of getting this award, because I just want you to know that I've been kind of hard for protecting the communities from help getting jobs and getting pretty good grades for all kinds. And thank you for Plus, I also wanted to say that thank you for letting disabled kids to get their jobs because we all know that we were getting jobs, right? And I must say I am very glad that I'm disabled because I've been looking to get a job, and I just want to say that thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you for coming out this evening. Move on to ordinance 23-2027, a second reading with regard to, no.
It's okay.
A second reading. Township Clerk, can you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance 23-27, an ordinance of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, add in Chapter 97, 911 Emergency System to the ordinances of the Township of East Brunswick.
Thank you. May I have a motion
Move to adopt.
and a second?
Second.
I'll now open this ordinance up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance only? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Any council discussion, even though we've gone through this one, but anything? Okay. Township Clerk, please call roll.
Councilman Bahal?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zembicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes, let's move on to our reports section. Notably absent is Mayor Cohen this evening, Mr. Crisculo, our business administrator.
Just a couple things to discuss. I'm happy to advise the council, and I sent along the report from the National Council for Mental Health and Well-Being, the Mental Health First Aid Program that the township participated in with the East Brunswick Youth Council. Overall, the purpose of the summary that was sent to you is to provide you with insight into the implementation of teen mental health first aid at the East Brunswick Youth Council through the Protecting and Promoting the Mental Health Issues of New Jersey Teens initiative as well. There was 3 of our staff that had become instructors in this material. So this is something that will be ongoing that our staff will able to provide to the Youth Council. Many of you know that some of our most recent hires are certified teachers in the state of New Jersey. After completing the course, they were asked to go through some surveys to discuss how they felt about the initiative. Based upon the data that received, there was 9 courses taught to these individuals. There was 123 teens. They felt 91.7% of the participants felt that the material presented to them in the course was easy to understand. They felt the material was worthwhile, and they would refer the training to a friend. So I think the training, twofold, that 3 of our employees just took the initiative to get certified in offering the class, says a lot about our staff. So I'd like to thank them. They're all members of the Recreation Department. And the fact that the Youth Council, when their advisory board was brought in front of them, whether they were interested in taking this class, that they embraced it, and 123 of our teens participated in the program is a fantastic achievement for these kids to be able to go back into the community and talk with their peers, and if they're feeling anxious about something, and aid them and talk about the class. We're hoping that we'll have more participants in the future to attend the program. Also, on tonight's agenda, you'll see that there's 3 resolutions for the purposes of purchasing equipment not for the lack of trying. There's a resolution there for a loader.
281, sir?
That's 281, sir. That is for the water utility. You know, as we have water main breaks, as you know, our water crews replace water lines on various streets. They did Sheraton most recently. That's actually going to be paved on Wednesday. We need that equipment in order to replace those lines. Replacing water lines is an expensive proposition, and when we can do it in-house, it saves the ratepayers money. The second resolution there is for
282?
282, the enclosed unibody truck is also for the water utility and their work to continue to supply our residents with fresh, clean, paddleable water. And 283, the purchase of 6 Ford vehicles under this contract. 3 are for the construction department. These are the ladies and men that go out when there's a new house being built or an industrial site that inspect to make sure that the electrical work is done properly, the building is constructed properly, and so on. There's 1 vehicle for sewer, the sewer division. We all, I call them our unsung heroes because nobody wants this product, and they take it upon to move the waste product through the town and get it pumped down to the utility authority. And 2 of them are to replace vehicles that are in our general fleet. One of those vehicles was totaled last year around this time, and the other one is to replace a vehicle that the amount of miles on a vehicle just exceeds its useful life. So it makes sense to replace those. These were all bonded for in the spring. And the reason why we're doing it now is because the companies had told us we couldn't even put an order in because the demand was so high. People don't even realize, like a garbage truck is taking anywhere from 18 to 24 months to come in, and some of the places aren't even taking orders. So we finally got to the point where they called us, they're accepting orders, so we need to get these resolutions approved so I can get them a PO to get on their list for delivery of product. And I just wanted to make sure you all knew that this has already been bonded for, approved by the council underneath that bond ordinance, and we were just waiting to get in line to make our purchases. That's my report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Criscuolo. And to the council's edification, anytime a dollar and cent sign item like that sort of jumps through the paper at us, and at the same time, we don't need to separate the items because Mr. Criscuolo covered them. Mr. Baker, our attorney.
Thank you, Council President. If the council and the public will recall, a number of years ago, about 15 or 16 attorneys general from states around the country filed class action lawsuits against many of the companies in the pharmaceutical industry because of the opioid crisis. Those cases have started to settle, and East Brunswick was a participant in the class action along with some 200 other towns in New Jersey and thousands of towns throughout the country. So while the settlements may be in the billions of dollars, when you spread it out over a couple hundred towns in 16 states, it gets to a much smaller amount. But you'll see in Resolution 23-286 on the agenda, the town is receiving $18,000 and change. That represents the first 2 $9,000 or so slugs from the opioid settlement. Those will continue to come into the town, and the purpose of it is to offset the additional costs that the towns had in healthcare costs as a result of the opioid crisis.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Ms. Lawful, our clerk.
Thank you, Council President. Just wanted to inform everyone that our general election will be on November 7th, which is a Tuesday. For those who have already received their mail-in ballot, there are 3 ways to return your ballot. You can submit your ballot via the U.S. Postal Services. You can also drop off your ballot at the Board of Elections located at 26B Kennedy Boulevard in East Brunswick. Or you can utilize our drop box, which is conveniently located within our municipal complex by our police department and our municipal court parking lot. It is a safe way of submitting your ballot, and the box is checked periodically throughout the day and delivered directly to the Board of Elections. For those who are not registered to vote, the last day to do so will be Tuesday, October 17th. So I do encourage everyone to go out and register to vote so that you can exercise your constitutional right to vote. For those who would like to vote on October 17th, you can do so at the Board of Elections, which will be opened until 9 p.m. Once again, their address is 26B Kennedy Boulevard in East Brunswick. The Board of Elections will be open until 9 p.m. on October 17th, which is next week, Tuesday. And lastly, early voting will begin at the Community Arts Center on Saturday, October 28th, through Sunday, November 5th. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Any council members with committee reports or board reports? Councilwoman Winston?
Thank you, Council President. I met with the Water Policy Advisory Board last week, and just to confirm what Mr. Criscuolo said earlier, the workers, the employees at the water utility are expressing a little bit of frustration with the delays involved in getting their trucks and whatnot, and happy to see this on the agenda this evening. They've asked me to address the public. As you all know, or most of you know, we've been trying to get all the residences in East Brunswick up to date with their water meter. And a lot of people have been hearing from National Water Meter thinking that they're a scam. They are not. They're contracted by the township. Of all the residences in East Brunswick, we're down to approximately 4,800 homes left that need to have the transponders switched. The reason this is important is it's going to save us a lot of money. The new transponders take the data from your meter and send it to local stations, which then send it to the main station. The data is in real time, and it eliminates the need for hiring people on the ground who have to go out and drive their cars all over town, visiting your meter and taking readings. So the town will save a lot of money when this is completed, and they're urging you to, if you can, contact National Metering Services. The number is 1-888-448-0009. There's no charge for installation or replacement of your meter, and the service itself takes about a half hour, and before they come out, they urge you to clear the area around your existing meter so they can get out there and do their job, and then you can go on without a care for how they're getting your water bill data. Also, something to note that was said in the meeting, and I'd like to share it with the public. We were talking about the quality of our tap water in East Brunswick. When we go to these meetings, we see months and months of data and the stringent lab testing that goes on constantly for our water quality. I'm happy to report that everything I see, we are always exceeding quality standards time and time again. The people who work in the water utility, they have family in East Brunswick, they live in East Brunswick, so they're absolutely dedicated to making sure our drinking water is as high quality as possible. And an interesting note that I took away from the meeting was the municipal tap water is monitored by the EPA, and when you're drinking bottled water, that's monitored for quality by the FDA, and the standards are extremely different, and the municipal water is much more intensely scrutinized by the EPA. So it's good to know that your tap water in East Brunswick is healthy and high quality, and we have a lot of people to thank for that at the water utility. And one last thing. Oh, the update on Route 18. Our water utility is working concurrently with the DOT on the upgrades to our Route 18, and what they're doing is addressing ancient water systems underneath that are no longer useful and are just complicating the structural problems underneath the ground. And also what they're doing is for businesses who have water lines that are attached to the main under Route 18, they're some of these lines are from 1939. So as they're going around as they're going down the road, they're switching those out for the businesses as well, so that we avoid future complications. We have a new system under there, and we're doing it while the work is being done to save money and costs. They started at Route 18 in the spring, and they're well ahead of schedule now, and they're up to Milltown Road, moving northbound on Route 18. And they're happy to report that this is going very smoothly for them, and they've taken care of a lot of problems underneath the asphalt along the way. They do anticipate when they reach Ticey's Lane that there will be some delays because of the complicated infrastructure underneath the ground there, which is kind of fascinating, that there's so much going on under Route 18 that we don't know, as far as tunnels and things like that. But other than that, they're ahead of schedule, and things are looking good. And that's it.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
You're welcome.
Outstanding report. Anything else? No.
I have a report. Yes, thank you.
Councilwoman Zambicki?
Thank you. For Rec and Parks Advisory Board, one thing I wanted to talk about is, first of all, give a huge thanks to John Roche and Ashley Falcon of our, that works with our youth council. Mental health crisis is just that. It is definitely a crisis right now. And having this program and being able to educate 123 teens in this short amount of time is amazing. And I think it will have a blossoming effect. And I'm proud that the Township took the initiative to do this with our youth. So it's a wonderful program. So thanks for giving the report on that. The Township Park and Recs is sponsoring a trunk or treat day. It'll be at Crystal Springs parking lot this year on October 29th, which is a Sunday. More details to follow. There's going to be games and other pieces that go along with that. And if you are an adult musician of any skill level, that could be a little bit scary, I think, but interested in getting together and to learn to play music with others, East Brunswick is looking to start our own community orchestra. So if you're interested, please check out the website and our social media pages for East Brunswick Rec Department for more information. And this Wednesday from 4 to 6, there's going to be an open house at the East Brunswick Senior Center. Everybody is welcome to come out and see the wonderful programs and opportunities that are offered. And of course, to be an actual part of our senior center, you must be 60 years old or older to join. The Daisy Tricky Tray is set for April 6th, so please mark your calendars. That's always a great event. And the Winter Wonderland at the Municipal Building on December 3rd is currently being planned. So please follow and watch that. It's going to be an all-day event this year from 11:30 to 6 p.m., closing with the lighting, the holiday lighting. And we will, in November, be presenting, the Parks and Recs will be presenting the Friends of Recreation, Parks and Community Service Award for our local business that won, and also for our local resident that won. So we look forward to having people come out to that council meeting in November. And that's it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Zambicki. I'll now open the meeting to the public. Township Clerk, could you please read our public comment statement?
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. In accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the East Brunswick Rules of Council, the council asks the public to limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. At the conclusion of the statements or questions from a member of the public, the council president, at his discretion, may choose to respond, not respond, or ask the administration to respond.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address the chair? Please.
Vern Whitlock, 694 Old Bridge Turnpike. 3 things to discuss today. All good stuff. I always support you guys. You guys do great work. The East Brunswick Museum will be holding the Chestnut Hill Cemetery Tour this Saturday and Sunday, October 14th and 15th. It's the live candlelit tour at the Chestnut Hill Cemetery. Walk along candlelit paths and be entertained by actors dressed in time period clothing. arrive between 5 and 8 to take our tour. The last tour will be at 8. It is $10 for adults, $5 for kids, and I will be playing the local confectionist. The second thing I want to address is on Pine Street. The old firehouse from 1928 is set for demolishing. As I said, I always support you, and I work infrastructure. If the building is worth more to replace than to fix, go ahead. I'll be right there. I'll drive the bulldozer for you. What I ask as a member of the museum is if any historical flags, plaques, pictures, paintings, statues that are planning on to be demolished, if that could be transported to the Museum for Historical Preservation. Second thing, the residents of Winsong Circle asked me to come today. There are street lights, multiple of them, and I've seen them for myself that are out. I contacted PSC&G for them back in July. JCP&L I contacted. They said they're in storm mode because of hurricane season and the past rain we've been having. If somebody from the township can contact them, it is a safety concern. There is a fellow resident I talked to. He is wheelchair bound. He doesn't go out at night because of the lights, and there are elderly couples. If somebody from the town could please email JCP&L or get an update about the lights. All they need is possibly a ballast or a light bulb. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
Hello. I'm here as a student from my professor, Professor James White, and I have the honor to be his student. And I just want to ask, what are you guys planning on doing with the settlement from the opioid settlement, the 2 disbursements? I heard Michael Baker discuss that it was going to be 2 settlements of $9,000. I was just wondering if there was anything specific that the town was planning on doing to compensate as a part of the opioid crisis.
Okay. Mr. Baker?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Criscolo since it's his budget.
Sure. How are you?
And say hi to Mr. White, please. I worked with him for, 20 years or so.
Council President, I'm at
Yes,
liberty
please.
to respond.
Normally what we, just so the audience understands this, this is not a time for an exchange or a conversation. However, I do, as council president, take exception to the rule because of the fact that this young lady is a student at the university studying to participate in local government, and so to allow her to better understand what's going on. Mr. Crisculo?
Sure. The opioid settlement funding, with the great help of Mr. Baker and his office, we achieved the correct amount of money. There's specific guidelines in which what you could spend that money on. The main one is education, educating the community on the dangers of opioids. Our youth council has also been highly involved with that because we believe in if we kind of take care of the youth and take care of the older people, we will have a successful community because everything else in the middle kind of works out. So one facet of that is education, and we'll be doing that with the youth, part of our municipal alliance program as well, which deals with substance abuse. And then we're going to bring that naturally to our seniors. Part of the program, Jennifer Stetson, who's the HR director and the municipal alliance coordinator, she'll be working on that. Now remember, everybody in the state is getting their money at the same time, so the providers are not able to respond as quickly as we would like them to do. So we're in the mode of scheduling these events for the education. So that's a big part of the program. Educate the youth and the seniors, because a lot of times seniors, they're having knee replacement, hip replacements, me included, my knee is shot eventually. And you got to listen to the doctor when he's telling you, I'm going to prescribe you this and it's an opioid, and give you the background of it. So it's important that our seniors know about that as well. We're planning to have our EBTV staff who's behind the window here, film a lot of those and get that out onto the public. So that's one aspect of that. Also is public outreach in the community, where there's gatherings of people just to get the information out to people. New Brunswick is going to have an effort over near their train station where they have high amount of homeless population and stuff like that. So that's another example of what other communities are. So it's a lot to do with avoidance, education. Part of it is also the ability to get fentanyl detection systems. It's just a little bag where if somebody is an addict, they can take the strip and place it in the powdered mixture, and it will give them actually changes color, and they will know that there's fentanyl not in that product as well. So it's another thing it gets spent on. So it's highly controlled on what we can spend the money on. We just got those directions about 6 weeks ago, and we got half of this money last year. So you could see it's slow to roll out, but it's definitely worth the effort for the $9,000 to $10,000 a year we're going to get over the next period, so we can further educate our youth not to get involved with drugs and to resist that. I hope that answers your question.
That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay.
It was a privilege.
Anyone else wish to address the chair?
Hello, my name is Kirsten Zenikis. I'm a resident of 431 Hobart Road in North Brunswick, and I'm here today as a resident of Middlesex County in general. We are coming out to local council meetings around the county as we work in this community, and speaking on behalf of the other nurses and we are very much part of Middlesex County, and many of us live in the surrounding town. So as I'm sure you were aware, Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital has been on strike. We've had nurses strike since August 4th. And we are really pushing for safe staffing legislation. So with that being said, I would like to take us back to 1986, which was during Reagan's presidency and at least 5 years before my time, when EMTALA was passed. EMTALA, or EMTALA, that is the Emergency Medical Treatment and Active Labor Act. And for a brief synopsis, for anyone who's not aware, which everyone I think is pretty much aware by this point, it ensures public access to emergency services regardless of ability to pay. So if you go into the hospital campus, so it's even within, not even if you enter the ER, but if you're on an ambulance that's being run by the hospital, or if you're within a certain distance of the door, that includes that as well. You're entitled to get screened, stabilizing treatment, and appropriate transfer. So if the hospital you're at cannot help you, you can be transferred. Why we bring that up is that was passed by Congress and as a result of there being situations where hospitals would dump patients on each other or turn people away for inability to pay. That was not hospital CEOs getting together and deciding to be generous and figuring that healthcare was something that everyone deserved. And so we are choosing to use this strike not just to fight for ourselves, but also our patients and nurses throughout the state of New Jersey. And while this is very much focused on nurses, there's definitely reform that could come for other professions as well. The physicians are not necessarily getting the support and treatment they deserve. People who are the techs, the clinical care technicians, CNAs, they're not getting what they deserve, the pharmacists, across the board. Particularly, we're talking about nurses for a reason, because we are nurses. And so we are here just to bring up and mention and bring awareness for, in the New Jersey legislature, there's a bill that's been stalled for about 20 years. Senate is S304. In Assembly, it's A4536. In the Assembly, the primary sponsors are Angelica Jimenez, Angela McKnight, Daniel Benson, co-sponsor Mila Jacey. In the Senate, it's Senator Joseph Vitale and Linda Greenstein, with co-sponsors Shirley Turner, Brian Stack, Nia Gill, Andrew Zwicker, Nicholas Sacco, Patrick Dignan, Renee Burgess, and Natalie Poe. So we need more people to sponsor these bills. Patients have higher acuity levels now than they have in the past. I will say I myself work on a cardiac floor. If you have a heart, you might be on my floor one day. We deal with people who are in chronic heart failure, who have heart transplants, if you're post-pacemaker placement or ICD placement, if you have atrial fibrillation, which is the most common arrhythmia as we get older, and greatly increases your risk of having clots and other issues, you might come to our floor. So we would like to be able to give the best care to all of our patients that we can, and we feel that having that kind of safe staffing legislation would be helpful. So in District 18, so Patrick Dean as a sponsor, Assemblyman Robert Karabinchik, and Assemblyman Sturley Stanley, it would be helpful if those people from this district would help us in this fight and for the state of New Jersey. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the chair? Please.
Hello, I'm also a nurse at Robert Wood. Good evening, President McAvoy, the entire Township Council, and the public. My name is Ryan
We
Siegel.
need your name and address, please.
It's coming.
You're supposed to do it first.
It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, as I chair this meeting.
Ryan Siegel, 43 Rath Lane, East Brunswick. My name is Ryan Siegel, and I am here along with some of my colleagues from Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas Health Hospital in New Brunswick.
And, excuse me, Ryan, you sat in my classroom, if I recall correctly.
I sure did.
Give him a little leeway. Give a little leeway. I beg your pardon, Ryan.
We are representing the 1,700 nurses that are on strike, which I will further go into detail about shortly. There are two main purposes for speaking at this meeting, and I thank you for your attention. The first reason is that our nurses and union would like to request that East Brunswick Township passes a resolution supporting enforceable, safe staffing standards for patients and nurses. Many of the striking nurses live in East Brunswick, and most importantly, RWJBH is frequented by many East Brunswick residents and visitors. The second reason involves informing the public that may not be aware of the strike situation and dispelling some myths that have been portrayed throughout the media. The nursing strike began on August 4th, 2023. The nurses are a part of the United Steelworkers Local 4-200. The primary reason for this strike is for enforceable safe patient staffing standards to be put into place. This means that we want there to be a limit on the number of patients each nurse must be responsible for at one time based on the location and patient population that a nurse is working within the hospital. Despite misinformation being disseminated throughout the media, the hospital has not been negotiating in good faith and continues to carry out well-known union-busting tactics, which commenced even before the strike began. All of the nurses, their spouses, and children were dropped from insurance on September 1st, 2023, as the hospital continues to not bargain in good faith and gaslight their employees. Nurses having too many patients to be responsible for at one time is not a new concern. It has been around long before the strike, long before COVID, and longer than many nurses have been alive themselves. Some may ask, then why did the nurses decide to go on strike now? Part of the answer to this question is that conditions at the bedside are getting rapidly worse. Patients are living longer as advances in medicine and technology take place. Being responsible for a certain number of patients at one time 10 years ago is not the same as being responsible for that same number of patients today. There are more medications, more devices, more chronic conditions, and overall greater expectations in the delivery of health care. There is simply not enough time to safely, appropriately, and humanely take care of so many patients at once. There is just not enough time in most shifts. Multiple scientific studies, which we refer to as evidence-based practice, have shown that mortality, length of time in the hospital, needing to return to the hospital shortly after being discharged, and overall costs of care all increase with each additional patient that a nurse is assigned. One thing is for sure, that 1,700 nurses at Robert Wood Johnson are on strike right now because they are saying enough is enough. As one of my colleagues said not long ago, we no longer choose to be complicit and not speak up. Nurses do the best that they can in the situations they are in order to protect their patients. A breaking point has been reached, and solutions in real time are needed immediately. Despite how many times the union explains this strike is not primarily about wages, the hospital spokesperson is frequently quoted mentioning that we are the highest paid nurses in the state. Whether that is true or not in some cases, based on different categories, including years of experience and other factors, they are deflecting away from our main point. Our main point is that whether or not we are the highest paid nurses in the state, we are standing up and stating that there are not enough nurses. We have not been on strike since August 4th for wages. We have been on strike since August 4th for enforceable safe patient staffing standards. The hospital spokesperson has also stated we have turned down 2 offers from the hospital, which would have given us what we are asking for. This is entirely untrue and one of many bold-faced lies. Just because language is presented in a proposal does not automatically take away the fact that it may be convoluted and unenforceable, which the proposals have been. There is not enough time in my 5 minutes tonight to be able to go into any more detail or dispel further lies, but I would like to leave you with this. Ask any one of the nurses on strike why they are on strike and why enforceable safe staffing standards are so important. They will provide you with an array of responses. Ask a hospital administrator why they are not presenting us with an enforceable safe staffing contract, and it seems they will deflect from the issue at hand, citing our wages and failing to accept that a staffing and safety issue exists. Prior to the meeting, I sent the council, mayor, and clerk an email. Please feel free to contact me with any further questions. Thank you for your time and attention.
Perfect timing, Mr. Siegel. Must have rehearsed it like I taught you. Anyone else like to speak to the chair, please?
Hello, Council. My name is Christian Kane. I'm a resident here in East Brunswick, 7 Shetland Road. I'm one of the 1,700 nurses on strike against Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital for the past 67 days. When I started as a nurse in October 2020, I could have never imagined the level of pain, suffering, and death I would be witness to. Yet none of those experiences have made me so incensed and angry as witnessing the callous disregard for compassion, empathy, and truth that Robert Wood Johnson has exhibited towards us and our communities. I began working at Robert Wood Johnson in January of 2022 in their surgical oncology unit. In my short time there, I've learned much from amazing colleagues with many years of experience beyond mine. In just as short a time period, I've rapidly ascended to senior staff. In what other field is there such a severe retention problem that you would be looked to as senior staff with only 3 years of experience? Robert Wood Johnson would have you believe there is a nursing shortage and that hospital systems are competing with each other for staff. I disagree. It has become clear to me that the only thing that they are competing for is the highest profit. Near the end of July, Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital's CEO and president both invited all of the hospital's nursing staff to town halls for us to share our concerns with them regarding staffing. The entire room audibly gasped, hosts included, when I shared how terrible my unit's staffing levels had become. We had spent months without having enough staff to regularly train new nurses. Instead, our temporary travel nurses were often responsible for training them. We have had so few staff nurses remaining that during night shift on June 30th, not one single staff nurse was present. Not one. How is it possible to say that hospitals are being competitive when the reality is this dire? Let's first address the supposed nursing shortage. The only shortage is of those willing to continue working in these dangerous conditions. According to a May 3rd article published on NJ.com, there were 13,000 openings for nursing jobs in the state. It goes on to say 85% of surveyed nurses working in hospitals plan to leave the bedside. Out of the nearly 166,000 registered nurses in New Jersey, nearly 30,000 have already allowed their licenses to expire, according to a 2022 study by the NJ Collaborating Center for Nursing. Why? The unspoken truth is that many of these RNs are on a strike of one. They fled the bedside because of the dangerous working conditions and the increasing demands to do more with less. This is in spite of hospitals being more profitable now than ever. And as conditions worsen due to lack of investment in the profession, nursing programs will begin to suffer too. It makes sense that college students would choose other professions. Our primary concern is that Robert Wood Johnson must improve our working conditions for both us and our community. If I quit being a nurse today, I would still be here speaking to you as a member of the public. That's how concerned I am. The hospital wants us to settle for what they call a staffing reward for working in unsafe conditions. What we want is enforceable contract language, not a meaningless guideline that they can choose to disregard at their convenience. How can they say they support safe staffing, but then say they're not responsible for maintaining it if a nurse has called out sick? How can they expect us to agree to an exception during public health emergencies when they made significant profits off of staffing shortages during the pandemic? They would rather pit us against each other and blame the unsafe environment on us than to acknowledge that it is their responsibility to ensure a safe environment for patients. Robert Wood Johnson has said that we are all guided by the singular mission of preserving life. Every additional patient a nurse has is associated with a 7% increase in risk of death. So when we are asking for safe staffing, we are looking to engage with Robert Wood Johnson in their own mission. Safe staffing isn't about our safety, it's about your safety. We are directly advocating for the quality of your care, and we need your help to show Robert Wood Johnson that it matters to you. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the chair?
Hello. I'm also a student of Mr. White's and also a resident of East Brunswick. I live on Five Parsons Road. And I was just wondering what the time...
Give us your name.
Andre Schoen. I was just wondering, what's the timeline for the East Brunswick schools in order for everyone to get back into the schools and the new high school to get built?
With regard to the schools, you're gonna have to come back to another meeting. That's a Board of Education meeting issue and not the town council. Thanks for coming out, though. Our regards to Mr. White. Anyone else wish to address the chair?
Council, everybody on the meeting there. I'd just like to send my condolences to the people in Israel. I don't know if they did that tonight, but unless you've seen devastation in person, you have no idea what these people are going through. So my condolences and go out to them. The second thing is I'm a person of safety. I like safety. I was watching the news the other day how this poor guy got run over by a bike, run over driving his bike by two teenagers, all right? I know, I grew up in the streets of Brooklyn. I always face the traffic. What is the right thing to do when you drive a bike? I mean, I don't use a bike no more, but I personally feel you drive against the traffic, you can see what's coming, what's going. Whereas this guy, he was just going in the lane and he got hit from behind. So if you could find out what's the best way to do it, I'd like to get your opinion. The second thing is about the leaf pickup. This year, we're going to put into the street, if I'm correct, all right? Okay. My suggestion is I could leave mine on my lawn until the time comes to put it into the street.
You don't need to put, don't put it in the street. Leave it on your curb line.
On the curb?
On the curb line, right before the street. The guys will come and grab it.
If it's on my lawn, they would take it off my lawn to do it?
We want it on the curb line, not all the way in the street, on the curb line itself. So partly on your lawn, they come down the street with the leaf blowers, they'll push it into the street, use the grabber and put it in the truck.
Because sometimes you don't know when day they come, and I used to leave it on my lawn and bring it into the street the day before. So that's what I'm asking.
That's okay too.
Okay, that's what I want to know. All
You
right.
want a job, we're looking for people.
Easy now. He wants to hire you to work.
Oh, okay. No, I can't do much work anyway. I have to do some Bible work. But
We'll be on.
and the other thing was with the water meter. I had mine replaced about 2 years ago. Are they redoing it?
No.
No?
No.
So if you had it done, you're
good.
finished. Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President, if I could.
Please.
The answer to the bike riding is you ride with traffic in the same direction as the cars.
Same direction as the cars. Anyone else wishing to address the chair?
Another one of Jim's.
I think we may have another university student.
I'm also a student of James White. I had a question in regards to the construction work on Route 18. You mentioned that the construction is ahead of schedule, which is wonderful. Do you have any idea of approximation of when it would be complete?
Let's go. I'm going to turn this over to Councilman Wendell, who might know a little bit more about,
No, she's asking about the water mains.
Right.
And all that.
So
I think
we'll go with
Howard, Dana.
Miss-
Councilwoman Winston, when it's going to be completed?
I believe
It's about a 4-year project, right?
it was a 4-year project, that's the projection, and it began in this spring, in 2023. So ultimately, it could end in 2027, but they're ahead of schedule. So hopefully, it's kind of like this. They run into problems, they run into issues, and, but it looks to be ahead of schedule. So I mean, we can't really guess on that, but sometime before 2027 or during.
My experience will tell you, ahead of schedule, 6 months or 8 months into a project can turn into a different thing.
Right.
A year or two from now.
It's something we hear all the time with regard to the constituents that we represent here in town. People are tired of the construction, yet at the same time, they understand the magnitude of the project. When you're talking about a stretch of Route 18, which is no more than 2.5 miles, and you're talking about a 4-year project, people begin to speculate as to why this is going to take so long. Once all the infrastructure ideas are explained, then people tend to understand the length of the project. But you'll be dealing with that traffic for the next couple of years if you're a commuter.
Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Regards to Mr. White. Anyone else wishing to address the chair? Seeing none, why don't we close that portion of the meeting? And let's see. We do have a resolution. We do not have a resolution requiring a second vote this evening. So let's move on to our consent agenda. Does anyone have anything that needs to be separated? Let's move on to the motion of, if I have my numbers right, can I get a motion for number 23-277 through 23-2, is it 90? 290.
Move to adopt.
Any, do I hear a second? Any discussion on any of these, real quick? Council Clerk, Township Clerk, would you call roll?
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilman Wendell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston,
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambicki,
Yes.
and Council President McAvoy.
Yes. For the good of the cause.
If I may,
Councilman Wendell.
I was up at Heavenly Farms yesterday morning watching the St. Bart's Buffaloes play. And cheers to the rec department on the scoreboard and all the work they're doing up there. Also, I'd like to congratulate the St. Bart's Buffaloes for having all their competitive teams, their 10U, 12U, and 14U reach the playoffs this year. So it's a very successful year for the competitive football. And, it was good to watch.
There you go. I do have something. The annual Guns and Hoses flag football game between the EBPBA Local 145 and 145A, the Superior Officers Association, versus the firemen and firewomen will take place on Saturday, October 21st, weather permitting again, at Heavenly Farms at 2 p.m. to raise money for the Susan B. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. Donations are $5 for adults and can be mailed to P.O. Box 4, East Brunswick, New Jersey, 08816, or paid when you arrive at the field. Kids age 12 and under will be able to have a friendly skills competition at halftime. There'll be a DJ at the event and hope to see you there. For the good of the call, I take that back. For adjournment, can we get a motion? Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good night.